Hi, I'm Paul Erickson, Bishop of the Greater Milwaukee Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Our synod is one of 65 synods in the ELCA, and we have 120 congregations and ministries in the 7 counties of southeast Wisconsin, stretching from Sheboygan down to Kenosha to the western edge of Waukesha County. I've been in this role for about 7 years now. I've been a pastor in the Lutheran Church for 30 plus years. This issue of mental health and addictions and those kinds of issues have impacted every single one of our congregations and ministries. Whether they know it or not, whether they talk about it or not, it impacts congregations and families throughout our society and throughout the world. But certainly I'm aware personally of several rostered ministers, other congregational leaders who have had struggles with addiction and substance abuse disorders. And so we have worked with them to identify that this is indeed an illness. It's a unique illness in that it combines the physical and the social and the emotional or psychological well-being. Oftentimes we think of illness as something that is simply only physical, that you deal with in a medical fashion. This is a much more nuanced and complicated and multifaceted disease. So we've had to work with congregations to remove the stigma of shame from this disease so that people can recognize it, that it is a disease, but it's one that also needs a wide variety of treatments and support. From what I'm aware, the Healing Network works with congregational leaders and congregational systems to be able to provide the resources that they have to bring this illness, this complex, multifaceted illness, out of the shadows and into the sunlight, where people can have open conversations and remove that stigma of guilt and shame, and then begin to identify what are some of the signs and the signals that someone is wrestling with this issue, and how can we then walk with and accompany a person. There might be varying levels of recognition and openness to talking about their own struggles with substance abuse disorders. So it takes a level of sophistication, a level of training and courage to actually step forward and to invite someone to join, to begin that path of healing. So the trainings that I'm aware of certainly provide the resources and tools of how to have those conversations in a congregational system. None of us can do this journey alone. Congregations are of different sizes and have different experience bases and have different resources available to them. So coming together and recognize that we can perhaps form some support groups within our congregations. There is obviously the 12-step groups. Alcoholics Anonymous is the prime example. Many of our congregations host those groups. Oftentimes it's simply a building space arrangement, a building use arrangement, right? Where people can use the building, but we don't want to have too much engagement. How do we bring that again into the ministry and then build some relationships with folks and build some partnerships so that folks can know that they can walk forward with others on their team? People can deal with it honestly and openly and recognize that there is a path forward and recognize that they have support. They don't have to walk that path alone. They have partners and support, but they do need to be willing to walk the path. And sometimes folks want to come in and fix for or take the responsibility off the individual, but they also have to participate in their own healing, right? And so it is a mutual effort, and I've had to help congregations and leaders recognize that it is not a sign of weakness to ask for help or support. It's a sign of strength and courage to recognize that life can be different, life can be better, and there is a path forward. We have to have the courage to take that first step.